this day when we give thanks for our baptism, I was thinking how baptism is the way that we know our truest self, our deepest self, who we are. I remember, maybe it was like a month ago, Shelley Halverson, our children's ministry director, and I, we went to school in the same school district at the same time. We went to different elementary schools, and then my family moved out east in junior high, but she brought in her high school yearbook, and just, you know, so that I could see some of the people that I had spent my childhood with. And it was so amazing because I didn't even have to look at the columns of the names on the side. Even though they had grown from when I knew them as in elementary age kids and were now seniors in high school in these photos, I could pick out every kid that I went to elementary school with. And it's kind of crazy, but there's something about sharing that those formative years together, you know, when you're just growing up, life unfiltered, just being kids, you know. And you know each other, and you can't get away with stuff because you know each other from that time as well. Like, I'm going to see a friend of mine this afternoon, and she's a lifelong friend. And so I remember, I remember a summer when she had a playhouse, and we decided to set up a neighborhood library. We pooled our books, such as we had, and then we ran around and told all the neighborhoods we had this library and they could come and take out books. And so I'll change some of the names to protect the innocent and the gullible. And one gullible one was Margie across the street. And she came over, and as I recall, she took out 3 of the Black Stallion books. The Black Stallion, the Black Stallion Returns and Son of Black Stallion. That was a great series. And then we did mention that, you know, there are late fees. So if she didn't get them back in a week, I'll think about that, 3 books in a week. You know, that'd be $0.05 a day now for each book. So, of course, then we all forgot about that, you know. And a couple weeks later, though, we were out in the yard, and we saw Margie come out of her house. We're like, hey, come over here. Do you have those books, you know? And then she came over, and we reminded her of the late fees, and we calculated them. That was like over $1 now, because it had been a couple weeks for 3 books. And you know, she immediately burst into tears, ran home, told her mom, who was my godmother, and and then she called our moms, and there were a lot of apologies all around. And so, you know, we get caught up in the schemes of the world, don't we? I'm sure my friend and I really just saw an opportunity for a couple quarters so we could hop on our bikes and ride down to the Ben Franklin and get some candy. Oh, so we know each other. And even though my friend, I'm very proud of her because she's now a prominent attorney and businesswoman in the community here. And proud of what she's accomplished in life, but, you know, we can call each other out knowing ourselves from the beginning, from our roots. And baptism is like that. So if you came in and noticed that our ministry theme has a banner, Thrive, it's got a tree, a picture of a tree with roots. And that's where I want us to begin when we think about baptism. That tree can only live because of that stream of water that flows and connects the tree at its deepest point, its roots, and touches and nourishes it there. That's how that tree can live. Baptism is like that for us, that water for us, reaching us at our deepest and truest self. And here it is, that we're created by God and we're beloved of God. That's the first word in baptism. God says, I've called you by name, now you are mine. That's one life-sustaining word from God. And it's really important to know that. I think about when we struggle with our self-worth, or we're criticized, or we go unnoticed or unappreciated. It's important to know who we truly are in God's eyes, beloved. I think a lot of our problems with self-worth stem from not knowing that, not knowing how loved we are, who we are created to be by God. Don't let anything contradict that truth. Baptism is also knowing that we are fallen from God, fallen apart from God by the fruit of that tree that Adam and Eve wanted and desired. They desired something apart from God, and so do we. So do we at times. We desire things apart from God. And that also is part of our deepest, truest self. And it's hard, to look at that part of who we are. And I would tend to ignore it. And I'm even blind to some of it. I don't even see some of that part. And that's why when we have confession in church, I have everybody look at the baptismal font. We all stand there and we face there, right? God makes it safe for us to be able to see that part of us through our baptism. Because we can stand there and know that we can see this part, he can show this part of us that is fallen, and yet we're safe. Because he's not going to stop loving us. And he's going to forgive us. And empower us again in the Holy Spirit to keep growing. Keep growing. He makes it safe. And we can come back again to those waters. I would love for you to think of this image that came to me this week, that when you think about baptism and you look at that baptism font, imagine Jesus standing there in the water, in that font, and just inviting you to come stand right with him in that water. Just stand right with him. And as he washes you, he wants you to hear God's thundering voice, like the voice he heard, say, "You are my beloved. You are still my beloved." He makes it safe. Baptism is about knowing our deepest self. Now, baptism also sends us. Just like that tree picture again. It starts with the roots, but then from the roots, the tree grows. And it grows out in its stature, its intended stature, and its branches reach out and it bears fruit. And it's a glorious thing to see. And it's a glorious thing to see a Christian do this in life. To reach your full stature and purpose, the likeness of God, God's glory and action in you. I was thinking about this stand of trees over at Baker Park Reserve, where I go cross-country skiing, and it's up on a hill. You ski up to a hill. And I don't know why, but when I reach that stand, it feels like I'm in church. It's just this beautiful stand of big oak trees. And there's something sacred up there in that stand.